Many of us can remember what we were doing when it started and when we were hearing the news, seeing the video of what was happening downtown.
Our own Alex Cabrera was live on scene the moment that a Salt Lake City police car was flipped over right here and lit on fire. Tonight he spoke exclusively with Salt Lake City Police Chief Mike Brown about that day, as well as many of the changes with policing the public that the public has asked for.
Alex is live outside police headquarters. Alex?
David Dini, the graffiti and vandalism here at the Salt Lake City Police Station, that has been cleaned up a long time ago. The pavement where that police car has burned, even that pavement has been replaced, and some of the injuries that officers and protesters received that day, they have healed for the most part. But Chief Brown admits even 1 year later, there is still a lot of work to do when it comes to trust, civility, and a working relationship on all sides.
This is the day Salt Lake City changed. When the innocence that something like this could never happen here happened.
Never seen anything like that. We'd had protests and we'd had, small things of civil unrest, but nothing like we saw on May 30th.
This weekend will mark 1 year since the downtown riot.
We just weren't ready for what we got.
We sat down with Salt Lake City Police Chief Mike Brown to talk about it. He faced criticism for not sending officers to the scene faster, and if he has any regrets on how he handled it.
I wouldn't say regrets. I think you progress and you learn. And if you don't learn from those mistakes or the things that you could have done better, that's where the regret would come.
After that day, Brown says his department would jump in right away with any future protests that included violence or vandalism. For example, when another protest got out of control at the district attorney's office a few weeks later, police were ready.
From the time that was declared an unlawful assembly until we had shut that down and moved people out, 18 minutes. That's a stark difference.
In all, Brown says his officers handled close to 300 protests and marches last year.
We had to put people on call-out and standby pay. And then we suspended vacations and days off.
The effect? Officers retired or resigned. Right now, Salt Lake City Police is down 45 officers. And though more than 30 new officers are in training, crime statistics have increased. However, Brown says the public is safe.
They're safe. They're safe. And let me tell you why. We prioritize our calls. When something comes in, if it's a person's crime and it's active and going on right now, that will go out over the air, and officers all over the city will drop what they're doing and respond to that.
But how officers interact with people, particularly people of color, a recommendation by the Salt Lake Commission on Racial Equality says has to change. One of the group's recommendations is to hire more officers of color, especially in leadership positions, and retrain all officers on diversity. Brown says that's happening.
As we get more officers in our department, we'll have more time to do those things, but those are a priority, and those are the things that people want.
Brown also says he's proud of his officers and the job they've done in the past year, not just with protests, but with COVID, the earthquake, the windstorm, the vice presidential debates, and on the nearly 123,000 calls they had last year alone.
Everything that happened in 2020, policing's never going to be the same. It's going to be different, but it's okay because it's going to be better.
And that is the goal, to become a better police department. And Chief Brown says he will continue listening to people in groups with recommendations on how to best do that. He also says he doesn't want any bad officers in his department, in any police department, because even one bad officer makes them all look bad. He says most of the officers are actually really good at what they do, and they continue to do so often without any recognition. But still, David Dini, hard to believe it's been 1 year since those riots. What a year it has been.
It has been quite a year, but it is nice to hear the progress. Alex, thanks.